She had 5 seconds before he drank the poison. Let the Korean Mafia boss die at his own wedding or kiss him at the altar and ruin everything in front of 300 witnesses. Soso Jane's heels were already clicking against marble before her brain caught up with her body. The wedding march swelled. The officiant raised his hands for the toast. Jin Ho lifted the champagne flute, crystal catching light, liquid death dressed in celebration. His bride Una smiled, her eyes tracking the glass to his lips like a predator watching prey. Soso moved. Security turned. Heads swiveled. She was running. A black woman in a server's uniform, black vest and white shirt, sprinting down the aisle of the most exclusive, most dangerous wedding in the city. Wrong place. Wrong skin. Wrong everything. Stop her, someone shouted in Korean. Hands reached for concealed weapons. The officiant's mouth fell open. Guests rose from their seats, confusion rippling through rows of tailored suits and designer gowns. Jin Ho turned, champagne still raised, dark eyes landing on this stranger charging toward him like she had every right. Soso didn't slow down. She grabbed his face with both hands, her brown fingers against his pale skin, her server's gloves rough against his jaw, and kissed him. Right there. At the altar. In front of 300 armed criminals and one woman who'd just been exposed. The room exploded. Gasps cut through the air sharp as gunshots. The wedding march died mid-note, the organist's hands frozen over keys. Crystal champagne flutes slipped from stunned fingers, shattering against polished marble in a cascade of breaking glass. Conversations died mid-word. 300 people, killers, enforcers, power brokers who'd built empires on violence, went absolutely silent. Then chaos. Men who'd murdered without hesitation shifted in their seats, hands moving instinctively toward weapons concealed beneath expensive suits. Women clutched pearls and phones, already composing messages to spread this scandal. Security guards rushed forward, hands on holsters, earpieces crackling with urgent Korean. Jin Ho didn't move. He stood perfectly still at the altar, tall and devastating in his charcoal wedding suit, burgundy tie perfectly knotted, face carved from stone. The most dangerous man in the room. The most powerful. And suddenly, inexplicably, the center of something he hadn't orchestrated. The kiss lasted 3 seconds, maybe 4. But in those seconds, Soso felt the entire weight of what she'd just done crash into her chest like a physical blow. I'm going to die. Right here. Right now. She knew it with terrifying, absolute certainty. As she pulled back, lips barely leaving his, close enough to feel his breath, close enough to see the shock flicker through his dark eyes, she pressed something small and warm into his palm. Her phone. Screen still lit. Recording still active. Her mouth brushed his ear, voice low and urgent, trembling despite every effort to stay steady. The champagne. Poisoned. Don't drink. Don't react. Just watch it later. Then hands seized her. Security yanked her backwards so violently she stumbled, her sensible server shoes sliding on marble. Someone shouted her name. Another server, voice high with panic. Someone else cursed in rapid Korean she didn't understand but recognized as furious. Chairs scraped loudly as men stood, eyes sharp and predatory, bodies coiled and ready for blood. What is the meaning of this? The bride's voice shattered the moment, Una's scream cutting through the shocked silence like breaking crystal. Her perfect face twisted with humiliation and rage, her white dress suddenly looking less like innocence and more like a costume that had just been ripped away. Get her away from him. Get that woman away from my husband. Soso didn't struggle against the hands gripping her arms. Her heart hammered so violently she could barely breathe, could barely think past the roaring pulse in her ears. But her eyes stayed locked on Jin Ho's face. She needed to see something. Anything. Any sign that she hadn't just thrown her life away for a man who'd kill her for touching him. For a stranger who might not even believe her. For a choice that felt insane and necessary and utterly, completely irreversible. For one long, suspended moment, Jin Ho's expression was unreadable. His dark eyes studied her face, really looked at her, not through her like servers were meant to be seen, but at her, like he was memorizing every detail. His jaw was tight. His body was still. His hand, the one she'd pressed the phone into, remained closed in a fist. Then his fingers slowly opened. The phone's screen glowed against his palm. Recording icon still active. Timestamp running. It was a small movement, barely noticeable to anyone not watching him specifically. But it changed everything. Enough.
His voice was calm, controlled,
Deadly quiet. But it cut through the chaos like a blade through silk. The room fell silent. Instantly.
completely.
The kind of silence that only comes when the most dangerous person in the room has spoken. Let her go. The security guards holding Soso hesitated, fingers still digging into her arms. One of them, tall, scarred, clearly senior, leaned forward. Sir, she assaulted you. In front of everyone. We need to. Jin Ho turned his head slightly. Just slightly. But his gaze cut through the man like he'd been struck. I said, Jin Ho repeated, voice dropping even lower, even more dangerous. Let her go. They released her immediately. Hands dropping. Bodies stepping back. Creating distance from the woman their boss had just claimed protection for without saying the words explicitly. A ripple of shock passed through the crowd. Visible. Audible. 300 people collectively recalibrating what they thought they knew about power and protocol and what happens when you touch a mafia boss at his own wedding. Eunice stared at him, her bouquet of white roses trembling in her grip. Jin Ho, she said, voice cracking somewhere between disbelief and fury. Are you serious right now? She just humiliated me.
Us.
In front of everyone. You can't possibly. He didn't look at her. His eyes never left Soso's face. Everyone out, he said. The wedding is over. Murmurs erupted instantly. Protest, confusion, speculation spreading like wildfire. But no one argued. Not really. Because when Jin Ho ended something, it ended. When he made a decision, it was final. When he protected someone, even a stranger, even a server who'd just destroyed his wedding, that protection was absolute. Within minutes, the grand hall began to empty. Guests filing out in shocked, whispering clusters. Security escorting people firmly toward exits. Eunice standing frozen at the altar, her perfect wedding collapsing around her, her face cycling through emotions too fast to name. Rage, fear, calculation, desperation. Soso stood trembling in her server's uniform, legs shaking so badly she wasn't sure they'd hold her much longer. Her apron was wrinkled from rough hands. Her pulse roared in her ears like an ocean. Her lips still tingled from the kiss, the reckless, impossible, life-altering kiss. She had done it. She had warned him. She had chosen visibility when invisibility meant survival. She had spoken, with her body, with her lips, with 3 seconds of contact, when silence would have been safer. Whether she survived, what came next was no longer in her control. But as 2 of Jin Ho's personal guards approached her, not roughly this time, but with a deference that made her stomach flip, as they gestured for her to follow them through a private corridor away from the emptying hall, as Jin Ho turned once to look at her before speaking quietly into his phone, she felt something crack open in her chest. Not fear. Not anymore.
Hope.
Terrifying, impossible, dangerous hope. Because Jin Ho had closed his fingers around that phone. He had stopped his guards from hurting her. He had ended his own wedding without explanation. He had looked at her, really seen her, in a room full of people who'd trained themselves not to see servers, not to see black women, not to see anyone who didn't matter in their violent, insular world. And for reasons Soso didn't understand yet, couldn't explain yet, wouldn't dare name yet, she mattered to him now. Hey family, before we dive deeper into this story, I need you to do something for me real quick. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Your city, your country, wherever you are right now. Your comments fuel these stories and let me know you're riding with me. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button because what happens next is going to leave you absolutely shaken. This is the year we bring you stories about courage, love, and the kind of choices that change everything. Let's get into it. The room had no windows. One table, two chairs, cold fluorescent lighting. The door closed with a metallic click. Locked. Jin Ho stepped inside, still in his wedding suit minus the jacket. Impossibly calm. Dangerously so. He placed her phone between them. I watched it. Then you know why I did it. I know what you heard. What I don't know is why a waitress would risk her life to warn me. I wasn't doing it for you, Soso said sharply. For me. I couldn't live with knowing. Doing nothing. Jin Ho studied her. You planned this. Not the kiss. I panicked. There was no other way. You were about to drink it. I had maybe 5 seconds. And the recording? That I planned. Because no one would believe me without proof. A black waitress accusing her bride of murder? I'd be dead before I finished the sentence. Jin Ho leaned back. You're either very brave or very foolish. I've been called worse. A faint smile ghosted across his mouth. Who are you running from? Soso's chest tightened. I don't know what you mean. Your hands were shaking before you touched me. That wasn't fear of me. You already live with fear. Who are you running from? His name is Marcus, she said finally. And he doesn't know how to let go. She told him everything. How Marcus had been charming, then controlling. How he'd isolated her, hit her, followed her when she ran. How he was a cop so other cops wouldn't help. That's why you took this job. To disappear.
Yes.
And after tonight, I didn't think that far ahead.
Jin Ho stood.
You saved my life. Which means you are now under my protection. I didn't ask. You didn't need to. That's not how this works. What happens now? Jin Ho's gaze softened slightly. Now, everything changes. Jin Ho remained standing, studying Soso like a problem he needed to solve. You're staring. I'm deciding whether you're reckless or extraordinary. I don't feel extraordinary. No one ever does. He unlocked the door. Come with me. Guards appeared, different ones, with something new in their expressions.
Curiosity.
Maybe respect. They led her through private corridors to an underground garage. Jin Ho opened the car door himself. I'm not under arrest.
No.
You're not. Inside, her hands started shaking violently. I didn't think I'd make it past tonight. You did because you acted. They rode in silence. Why didn't you ask more questions? I already asked the important ones. And you trust my answers? I trust the recording. And my instincts. The car entered a gated property. High walls. Multiple guards. This isn't a police station. It's one of my residences. Wherever you were staying is no longer safe. Inside, he handed her water. Tell me everything. From the beginning. She told him about Marcus. The charm that twisted into control. The monitoring, isolation, violence. How she ran, but he followed. How did you survive? I stayed invisible. I worked places where no one asked questions. I learned to disappear in a room. That man will not touch you again, Jin Ho said with finality. What about your bride? She was smarter than everyone else until tonight. You're not angry at me. I should be. You caused chaos, humiliated me publicly, forced my hand. But you also saved my life. Recognition passed between them. Understanding. You could have walked away. Most people would have. But then I'd be just like her, smiling while someone else dies. Jin Ho straightened, something settling inside him. I'll have clothes brought. You'll stay here tonight. And after that? He paused at the doorway. After that, we decide what you become. Soso leaned back, heart racing. She'd walked in as nobody. Invisible. Disposable. She'd walked out under the protection of the most dangerous man in the city. And she had absolutely no idea what that would cost her. Soso didn't sleep. Every sound made her tense. Safety felt unfamiliar. Suspicious. Near dawn, Jin Ho knocked. No suit this time, just dark pants and a black shirt, sleeves rolled up, tattoos visible. You're awake. I don't really sleep when things change this fast. I had my people look into Marcus. You weren't exaggerating. Her stomach dropped. You found him. Yes. Is he no? Don't tell me. Jin Ho studied her carefully. I haven't touched him. Yet. He leaned against the doorframe. My bride is no longer my bride. And my enemies will test me now. Because of me. Because of betrayal. You only exposed it. He crossed his arms. You should leave the city. Tonight. New documents, new name, somewhere safe. Everything she'd prayed for once. And yet, no.
Jin Ho frowned.
Explain. If I run now, Marcus wins. And your ex-bride, she'll still be alive. Still dangerous. I think hiding hasn't worked for me so far. The only reason I'm alive right now is because I stopped hiding. Silence stretched. You don't understand what staying near me means. I understand enough. It means danger. But at least it's honest danger. He stepped closer. My world doesn't forgive weakness. If you stay, people will assume you matter to me. They'll use that. They'll try to hurt you to hurt me. Her heart skipped.
Doi.
Matter to you. His gaze held hers. That's what we're deciding. Later, Jin Ho summoned his inner circle. Hours passed. When he returned, his jaw was tight. It's worse than I thought. She wasn't working alone. She promised pieces of my territory to people who already wanted me gone. And now they know I know, which means they'll look for leverage. You. He stepped closer. There is one option. It will protect you completely. And the cost. He hesitated. It binds you to me. Marriage, she whispered. Yes. She laughed, breathless. You're joking. I don't joke about survival. I'm not asking for love. I'm offering safety. That's worse. You don't marry someone for safety. In my world, you do. Not life, contractually. Time limited. After, you walk away. Untouched, protected, free. What do you get? That's irrelevant. Why me? Because you were brave. Because you told the truth when it could have killed you. Because if I put someone beside me now, it must be someone I know won't sell me out. And if I say no, then I will still protect you. But not like this. And not as effectively. Soso sank onto the couch. If I do this, you don't touch me unless I say so. Agreed.
No ownership.
No control. Agreed. And when it ends, you let me go. Completely. On my word. She took a deep breath. Then we do it. Something protective flashed through his eyes. Then you're mine to protect. For the first time since the wedding, Soso wasn't sure whether she should feel safe or terrified. By morning, whispers crawled through Jin Ho's world. She's staying. She matters. He chose her. Guards looked at her differently now. Alert. Respectful. Jin Ho insisted she move into the main bedroom suite. Not to share it, but because it was most secure. Bulletproof windows.
Reinforced door.
Panic button. They prepared the contract quietly. Protection, public acknowledgement, no intimacy without consent, freedom at the end. Signing felt unreal. You don't have to do this, Jin Ho said before finalizing. She met his eyes. Neither do you. His jaw flexed. I choose to. The engagement ring was simple. A single diamond on platinum. When he placed it in her palm, his fingers brushed hers. This isn't a promise. It's a shield. I've never had one of those before. You do now. The first public appearance came quickly. A private dinner with high-ranking allies. Soso stood in deep emerald silk that made her brown skin glow. Jin Ho appeared in the doorway. You look perfect. I look terrified. That too. Ready?
No. Good.
Neither am I. At the restaurant, every eye assessed her. Jin Ho's hand rested at the small of her back. Not possessive, anchoring.
Breathe.
They're watching me, not you. That's not true. His hand pressed firmer. It is now. The room shifted. People smiled strategically. A woman complimented her dress. A scarred man pulled out her chair. Jin Ho's lieutenant bowed slightly. Power by proximity. Protection through association. Later, Soso kicked off her heels, exhausted. I don't know how you do this every day. Jin Ho loosened his tie. You learn not to feel it. That sounds lonely. Something flickered across his face. It is. I didn't expect you to look at me the way you did tonight. How did I look at you? Like you were proud. His gaze held hers. I was. Something fragile and electric hovered between them. Then his phone rang. Jin Ho's expression hardened. Marcus made contact. With someone who knows you. Your brother's school. Her blood ran cold. What does he want? Leverage. And attention. He's trying to remind you he exists. I can handle him. Jin Ho's voice dropped.
No.
You don't handle him.
I do.
She nodded, hating how relieved she felt. What happens now? Now we end the illusion that you're just under my protection. And after? After. We make it real. You're talking about marriage like it's a weapon. Jin Ho moved closer. In my world, it is. That night, past midnight, Jin Ho knocked again. You're safe tonight. And tomorrow. And every day after, as long as you're with me. And if I decide to leave, his gaze softened, then I'll make sure you leave alive. You don't sound afraid of losing me. I am. I just don't let fear make decisions for me.
Gino.
Thank you for choosing me. His eyes held hers. You chose first. I'm just honoring it. Soso realized she wasn't just surviving anymore. She was beginning to care. And that scared her more than any threat. The first crack appeared during a meeting Soso hadn't been meant to attend. Jin Ho's advisors filled the room. Older Korean men, voices tense with power plays. Until one laughed. Your new fiancé. She's unexpected. The word carried weight. Judgment.
Jin Ho's body tensed.
Careful. The room went still. I didn't mean offense, the man added quickly. Jin Ho's hand moved to rest over Soso's folded fingers, small, intimate, possessive in a way that had nothing to do with ownership. She's not unexpected. She's chosen. The message was clear. Touch her, and you're touching me. Back in the car, Soso spoke. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. You touched me. He glanced at her. Did you want me to stop? Her heart pounded.
No.
That night, the house felt different. Charged. They passed each other more often, conversations lasting longer, meals drifting from polite to personal. Jin Ho learned she drank coffee black, hated imposed silence, slept with lights on. Soso learned he counted steps when anxious, removed his watch before difficult conversations. One evening, Jin Ho sat beside her instead of across the room. She stiffened instinctively. He noticed, pulled back. I won't cross lines. I know. I just need a moment. He waited, gave her space while staying close. After seconds, she leaned back. You can stay. Their shoulders brushed. Nothing more, but it felt more intimate than the altar kiss. Then Marcus broke the silence. A text on her burner phone. You think hiding behind him makes you untouchable? You still belong to me. That pretty ring doesn't change what you are. Jin Ho's expression darkened. He's testing boundaries. And if he doesn't stop?
He will.
A statement of fact. That night, near 3 a.m., Soso found Jin Ho at the window. City lights reflected off glass. His tattoos were visible, dragons and characters she couldn't read. You should rest. He didn't turn. I will. Later. She stepped closer. Planning for Marcus? For whatever comes next. You know, you never asked what I want after all this ends.
He turned.
What do you want?
Peace.
His expression softened. So do I. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. His jaw tightened. One of my men was attacked. Not killed. Warned.
Marcus's signature.
What does that mean? Jin Ho stepped into her space. This ends soon. One way or another.
How?
By removing the illusion that you're only protected by a contract. We stop pretending. Pretending what? That this marriage is just strategy. The air shifted, charged with everything unsaid.
Jin Ho.
He raised a hand. I won't touch you. Not until you tell me to. And if I never do, then I'll still protect you. But I won't lie about what I feel. What do you feel? He hesitated, showing her the cost of honesty. His phone rang again. Another interruption. Jin Ho checked it, then looked at her. Stay close to me. From now on. I already am. Neither pretended the words meant nothing. They stopped pretending the next day. Jin Ho didn't let Soso out of his sight. Meetings, drives, meals, she was always within reach. Protected. Visible.
His.
Everyone noticed. She's not just a shield, one lieutenant muttered. She's becoming a weakness. Jin Ho heard but didn't care. What he cared about was how Soso flinched at loud footsteps, how her smile faded at unexpected phone buzzes, how she tried to be brave when fear still lived under her skin. That night, Soso stood in the kitchen staring at nothing, hands wrapped around cold tea, replaying Marcus's message. Jin Ho found her. Did he contact you again? She nodded.
How?
He sent flowers. To a place I worked months ago, with my name on the card. Rage flickered across Jin Ho's face. He's reminding you he can reach anywhere. Yes. Jin Ho closed the distance. You're not alone anymore. Say it, she whispered, needing to hear it. You're not alone anymore. Something in his tone broke through her fear. She set down the mug. Say it again. You're not alone anymore. Jin Ho pulled her into his chest, protectively, like she was precious. His arms wrapped around her, careful not to cage her. Soso froze, then melted. Her hands fisted into his shirt, face pressed against his chest, breath shuddering. I've got you, he murmured. I won't let him take anything else from you. Tears slid down her cheeks. I don't know how to stop being scared. You don't have to. I'll be scared for you. She laughed weakly. That doesn't sound reassuring. It should. I'm very dangerous when I'm scared. That earned a real laugh. When she pulled back, their faces were inches apart. Too close. If I kiss you, Jin Ho said carefully, there's no pretending after that. Her heart hammered. Then don't pretend. Soso reached up and kissed him. Soft, tentative, nothing like the altar. This was slow, careful, real. Jin Ho's hands tightened to her waist, not claiming, grounding. He let her control everything. But when she leaned in, he deepened the kiss with devastating restraint. When they broke apart, both were breathing harder. That wasn't strategy, Soso whispered.
No.
That was reckless. She smiled. Seems on brand for us. His hands were still at her waist. This makes you a target. I already was. At least now I know why. You should hate me for this. She shook her head. I don't. Then the call came. Jin Ho's phone buzzed violently. He checked it and went completely still. What? Marcus. He made a move. He turned the phone. Her breath left her lungs.
Deshawn.
Her 16-year-old brother. Tied to a chair, face bruised, eyes terrified. Blood at his temple. Message, come alone or he dies. 2 hours. Soso swayed. Jin Ho caught her.
No, no, no.
He wants you emotional. Sloppy. Desperate. I have to go. Jin Ho grabbed her arm. You won't. He's my brother. And you're my responsibility. I won't lose you. Or him. You can't control this. I can. And I will. He held her while she broke, then made 3 calls, mobilizing his organization. Promise me you won't kill him just because you're angry. Jin Ho looked at her. I promise. I'll kill him because he deserves it. Fear and trust collided. You're going to war. Yes. His hand cupped her face. And this time it ends. He kissed her forehead, tender and devastating. Stay here. Locked down. Guarded. She nodded shakily. As he turned to leave, she grabbed his hand.
Jin Ho, come back.
Please. He squeezed her hand. I always do. But for the first time, Soso wasn't sure if that was a promise or a hope. Jin Ho let Marcus believe he came alone. The location was an abandoned police precinct near the river. Jin Ho arrived in a single black car, stepping out in all black, looking like death itself. Marcus emerged in his police uniform, smiling. You came. Alone. Guess you really care about her. Jin Ho's eyes were empty. Where's the boy? Marcus chuckled. Straight to business.
No srec? No begine.
You misunderstand. This is the last conversation you'll ever have. Marcus's smile twitched. Big words from a man who followed my rules. Jin Ho held up his phone. You think you made them? Lights snapped on, portable floods turning night into day. 30 armed men poured out, surrounding the precinct, cutting off every exit.
Marcus spun, panic flashing.
You lied. I adapted. There's a difference. Marcus reached for his weapon. Gunfire erupted, warning shots from rooftops. Inside.
Now.
They moved into the precinct. Deshawn was tied to a chair in an interrogation room.
Bruised.
Bleeding. Terrified. But alive. Cut him loose, Jin Ho ordered. Deshawn's eyes went wide. So. She's safe. And you will be too. Marcus laughed desperately. You're gonna shoot a cop? You'll never leave alive.
Jin Ho stepped closer.
You think your badge protects you? You used your authority to hurt a woman who trusted you. You hunted her. You put your hands on her when she said no. He gestured to the door.
Leave. Now.
While you still can. Marcus stared, disbelieving. You're letting me go? I'm giving you a choice. Walk away. Disappear. Never say her name again. Or stay and face what comes next. It's mercy. Something you never showed her. Marcus's face twisted with rage. She humiliated me. He reached for his gun. Jin Ho moved first. One shot, center mass. Marcus fell. Jin Ho holstered his weapon, then crouched to Deshawn's eye level. Your sister loves you very much. Everything she's done has been to keep you safe. Remember that. Within minutes, sirens approached.
Jin Ho's lawyers handled statements.
Self-defense.
Corrupt cop.
Security footage backing every word. Jin Ho made one call. It's done. We're coming home. When they arrived, Soso was waiting. She saw Deshawn and rushed forward, dropping to her knees, frantically checking him. They clung to each other, crying. Jin Ho stood back, giving them space. When Soso finally looked up, her eyes asked the question. Marcus is dead. He chose violence. I ended it. She stared. Do you regret it?
No.
But I regret that you needed me to. Soso stood and wrapped her arms around him. Thank you for saving him. Always, Jin Ho replied. And meant it. Marcus's death was ruled self-defense within 48 hours. His corruption exposed.
Jin Ho's lawyers ensured no blowback.
But Soso couldn't stop shaking for 3 days. She moved through the compound like a ghost, physically present, emotionally absent, processing years of fear with nowhere to go. Deshawn stayed with them, healing. Their grandmother visited daily with food and fierce protectiveness. Jin Ho didn't push. Just stayed close, sitting with her, bringing tea, existing as steady presence. On the third night, Soso broke. She found Jin Ho in his study. I need to say something.
I'm listening.
I don't want the fake engagement anymore. His face went neutral. Understood.
No.
Let me finish. I don't want fake anything. I don't want to perform safety or pretend love or hide who I am. Her voice strengthened. I'm done with all of it.
Jin Ho stood.
What do you want? I want real. Messy, complicated, terrifying real. I want you if you still want me. Jin Ho crossed to her. I've wanted you since the moment you kissed me at that altar. I've wanted you through every fight, every scared moment, every time you challenged me. I want you when you're strong and when you're breaking and every moment between. I love you, Soso said. I don't know when it happened, but I do. I love you, Jin Ho echoed, framing her face. And I need to tell you something too. I'm leaving the organization. I started the process weeks ago, before Marcus, before any of this. I've been dismantling it piece by piece. Her breath caught.
Why?
Because my father built an empire on violence. I thought honoring him meant preserving it. But you showed me something different. Honor isn't maintaining legacy. It's choosing what kind of man you want to be. His thumb brushed her cheek. I want to be the man who deserves you. And that man doesn't run a criminal empire. What will you do? Legitimate business. My family has real estate holdings, investments. Enough to build something new. Something clean. It won't be easy. But I'm already 3 steps in. That's a huge risk. You're worth it. Soso pulled him close, kissing him deeply. Not careful. Not strategic.
Certainty.
When they broke apart, she smiled through tears. So, what happens now? Now I do this properly. He pulled out the engagement ring she was wearing and removed it. Soso's heart dropped. What?
Jin Ho knelt.
This ring was a shield. I'm not asking you to hide behind shields anymore. I'm asking if you'll build something real with me.
No contracts. No arrangements.
Just choice. He opened a different box, sapphire surrounded by diamonds, deep blue like truth. Soso Jane, will you marry me? Really marry me? Not for protection or strategy. Just because I love you and you love me, and that's enough. Soso was crying, nodding.
Yes.
God, yes. He slid the new ring on, stood, and lifted her off the ground. They kissed, laughing through tears. From the doorway, about damn time. They laughed, pulling Deshawn in. Family, blood, and chosen and fought for, and real. 6 months later, everything had changed. Jin Ho's exit was complete, organization legitimized, territory redistributed. He'd started a property development company focused on affordable housing. The work was quieter. He liked it. Soso finished her degree. Jin Ho insisted on covering tuition. She was applying to MBA programs, thinking about nonprofit management. Deshawn thrived in private school, talking about law school. They lived in a modest house. Normal neighborhood. Tree-lined streets. Neighbors who waved. No guards, just good locks and beautiful mundane safety. The wedding was small. Intimate. Deshawn walked Soso down the aisle. Their grandmother cried in the front row. Jin Ho's mother flew from Seoul, disapproving at first until she saw how her son looked at Soso. The ceremony blended cultures. Korean piebeak ceremony, where they bowed to his mother. Black American traditions, jumping the broom decorated with ribbons, gospel music, a second-line celebration. Soso wore white by choice. Simple, elegant. Jin Ho wore hanbok, burgundy and gold, traditional and stunning. When Soso appeared, Jin Ho's breath caught. His eyes went bright with tears he didn't hide. His vows came first in Korean, then English. You saved my life twice. Once at an altar, when you stopped a murder. Once in my heart when you taught me that strength isn't control, it's surrender. It's choosing someone and being chosen back. I promise to see you, all of you, every day. I promise you'll never have to perform safety again. You'll have it real and lasting because we built it together. Soso's vows followed. I've spent most of my life trying to be invisible, acceptable, small enough not to be hurt. You taught me that love isn't about making yourself smaller. It's about finding someone who celebrates every inch of who you are. You saw me when I was hiding. You protected me without owning me. You loved me without conditions. I promise to be your partner, not your project. I promise to challenge you when you need it and support you always. I promise we'll keep choosing this, choosing us, every single day. The kiss was soft, deep, real. The room erupted. At the reception, Soso's grandmother pulled Jin Ho aside. You hurt my baby girl. I don't care what kind of man you used to be. I will end you myself. Jin Ho met her eyes. I won't. I'd hurt myself first. She studied him, then patted his cheek. Good answer, son. During their first dance to Let's Stay Together, Soso whispered, Do you ever think about that first kiss? Jin Ho's hand tightened at her waist. All the time. Regrets. Only that I didn't meet you sooner. She laughed softly. We probably wouldn't have worked sooner. We needed to become these people first. True. Broken finds broken, but healed chooses healed. The night ended with sparklers and laughter. Deshawn made inappropriate speeches. Jin Ho's partner toasted in Korean. Soso's grandmother led a prayer about two broken people finding wholeness. As they left, tin cans tied to the car, just married in English and Korean, Soso looked back. She thought about the woman who'd run down an aisle 6 months ago, terrified and brave, choosing visibility. About the man who chose to see her. About how sometimes the most dangerous thing is letting yourself be loved. What are you thinking? Jin Ho asked. That I'd do it all again. Every scary moment. Every impossible choice. All of it leads here. To me? To us. He kissed her hand. To us. As they drove into their future, uncertain and clean and theirs, Soso understood something fundamental. She'd spent years running from danger, performing safety, hiding. She'd found freedom by standing still, by being seen, by kissing a stranger at an altar and trusting that sometimes the bravest thing is choosing love when everything tells you to choose survival. So, let me ask you something. If you overheard a murder plot, would you stay quiet to stay safe? Or would you risk everything to save a stranger?
Soso Jane shows courage.
She chose to be seen when hiding was easier. She chose to speak when silence was safer. And that one choice changed 2 lives forever. Because sometimes the bravest thing isn't fighting or running. Sometimes it's standing still and saying, I see the truth and I won't look away. Sometimes it's kissing someone at the altar and ruining everything to save what matters. Sometimes it's choosing love when trauma taught you to choose survival. And sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. True love doesn't require you to shrink. It doesn't demand performance. It doesn't cage you with protection. True love sees all of you, the scared parts, the scarred parts, the strong parts, and says, yes, all of it. I choose all of it. That's what Soso and Jin Ho found. Not in a moment. In 1,000 moments. In every choice to show up, be honest, stay visible, and build something real from the wreckage of what almost destroyed them. So I'll ask you again. If you were Soso, would you have kissed him? Would you have risked everything? Drop your answer in the comments. If this story moved you, if it made you believe in second chances and brave choices and love that doesn't require you to disappear, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can get notified as more dark and lovely stories about courage, love, and choosing yourself are coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, you never have to make yourself smaller to deserve love. The right person will love you at full volume. Until next time, family. Stay brave. Stay visible. Stay loved.